All right, welcome back. So this is part 3 of the intermediate section of automating emails in Airtable. This is Chris from Optimize IS, and in this section, we're going to look at how to integrate Airtable with Zapier to send beautiful looking HTML emails out of Airtable. Let's dive in and have a look at how it works. So let's look at how to do this. What we're going to do is we're going to send an email from our Gmail account using Zapier. So I'd like to slightly modify this original sent email automation that we created. And instead of sending an email using Airtable's native send an email step, we're going to slightly modify this. So we're going to do the same thing, except we're not going to send it from Airtable. We're going to send it from our accounts using Zapier. So I'm going to just delete that action for now. And then I'm going to go and add a step, and it's going to be a run a script step. It's fairly straightforward. Essentially what we're doing is we are inputting the record ID in the Zapier webhook URL that we're going to get. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make those input variables here. For the record ID, I'm going to set the value to the value of the trigger record when a record matches conditions, Airtable record ID, and then the Zapier webhook URL we're going to get once we go over to Zapier and set this up. So we have those as inputs. We get the record ID, we get the webhook URL. So we set up a payload that we're sending over to Zapier that contains the record ID. And then we do a post request that sends that over to Zapier. So essentially that's how this works. So go ahead and pause the video and make sure that you get this script written in your script step. All right. So I'm going to leave this up for now, and I'm going to hop over to Zapier, and I'm going to create a new Zap. And we can name this Zap Send Email in Gmail. We're going to go ahead and do this ourselves. We're not going to use Copilot. For the trigger, I'm going to go ahead and select webhooks, and we're going to select Catch Hook. Continue. You're going to want to copy the webhook URL. So I'm going to want to copy that, head back over to Airtable, and then input that into the value of the Zapier webhook URL. Then I'm going to hit Test. And it's going to go ahead and it's going to run this script. So it's sending a record ID. So let's go over and test the trigger in Zapier. And it did find a record. So it says that there was a request sent. It's called request A. So that request A, you can see that it contains the record ID that we just sent over. So we're going to continue with that selected record. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Airtable. And the event that we're going to take is we're going to find a record by ID. So the base is going to be email automation. The table is going to be email logs. The record ID is going to be the record from the trigger. And then let's go ahead and continue. So let's test the step. So we were able to find the record of the trigger. We can see the values that we need. So we need the recipient email. It's here. The first name is there. The body is there. The rendered body is there already. Different things, and other attributes that we had in there, like the subject line. Great. So now we can move on to the next step now that we have the data that we need. The next step is going to be in Gmail. And we are going to select Send Email. And if you have not already connected your account, make sure you do that. So I'm going to sign into my Gmail here. I'm going to give it the scopes that it wants. Continue. And then it's basically the same thing that we have over in Airtable. So we're going to have the two. So we're going to map that to the Airtable record that we found earlier. And we're going to select the recipient email. CC, we don't need to worry about that. BCC, from name, we don't need to worry about all that stuff in this case. Unless you want to, you could specify a from name. It's up to you. Subject, let's go ahead and add the subject from the Airtable record. So the subject line, the body, you could just select plain, but I'm going to go ahead and select HTML, just kind of anticipating what we're going to be doing in the next tutorial. But even if you select HTML, if you just send over plain text, it's not going to error or anything like that. It's completely fine. So for the body, I'm going to select the rendered body. Signature, we don't need to worry about that. That's up to you. You can add attachments just like you can do in Airtable automations. Let's continue. So I'm going to go ahead and test that. So a message was sent to Gmail about 0 seconds ago. So if I go over to my Gmail, I'll see that I sent something over to Ethan. I did get an address not found because this does not exist, of course. I need to update Ethan's email to mine. But in any case, the email was sent. And you can see that due to the fact that we didn't include HTML tags, it's putting everything in the same line for now. That is looking good to me. So let's go ahead and add one more step here. And the step that we're going to add is we're going to update the Airtable record. So let's update the record. The base is going to be the same one. The table is going to be email logs. The record ID is going to be custom, and we're going to be using that same record ID from the trigger. And what we're updating here is the status. So the value that we want to send over is sent, and I believe that's it. So let's continue, test that step. We were using this record here to test, and that's why it updated this one. All right, so we can go ahead and publish that. I like the way it's looking. So the Zap has been published. So now if we head over to here and we try to send something again, let's go for it. So let's go ahead and create another one. We'll send template B to Sophia. Sophia has my email address loaded in here, as you can see. So just make sure that you have it turned on, of course. And then let's go ahead and send. So that's calling Zapier. Zapier is sending it from my Gmail account. In this case, it's sending to myself because the recipient's email is also me. And it was successful. So let's go have a look. Hi, Sophia, just checking in. How are things going in your new role? I heard that you're now a software engineer. Thank you, Chris. So again, it's all on one line because we're not using HTML yet, but let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to look at how to make really beautiful HTML emails in the next tutorial. But for now, let's go ahead and modify that template B that we've been using. And let's include just some basic HTML tags here just to see that in action. So what I'll do is I'll put a paragraph around here. I'll put a paragraph around here. And then I'll also put one around these elements at the end as well. And then just for the heck of it, let's put a bold tag around the job title just to see that in action. And let's trigger it again. So I'll just use the same record. So that's sending. Zapier sent the email. So let's go back, go to the inbox. There it is. So now everything is properly spaced because we used those paragraph tags. We even have the job title in bold now. So this is just the beginning. In the next tutorial, we're going to look at all the different ways you can use HTML to make beautiful looking emails, very professional, like stuff that you would see, coming out of MailChimp. So very exciting stuff. I'll see you in the next one.